You're watching ZTV.
Hello, dear ones, and welcome to ZTV. This is Z. I just want to talk to you real quickly about honor and faithfulness. You know, I was out running the other day and I picked up a penny. I always pick up change when I find it wherever, but when I'm out running, I always pick up change and things like that. And I was saying that on my Facebook page that after a month of running and picking up change and stuff as I'm doing it, I always have more than $1 just sitting on the little dresser where I set the money, from somebody else's foolishness. And the reason I call it foolishness is because they're perishing for a lack of knowledge. Sometimes you lose change and you can't control that, but a lot of times people throw change. Like I've seen people throw change, I've seen people drop change and not pick it up. But you have to remember that I broke through in the financial realm by sowing pennies. That's quite an amazing testimony and a quite amazing truth, but it's what I did. I broke through sowing pennies because there were times when that's all I had. you know um I also referenced David's quote from the Psalms when he said, if I had not been afflicted, I would not have learned to love your law. I've learned to love the Lord's law because of my affliction, because I came to that place where I had nothing and I was so poor that pennies seemed like millions of dollars to me. I learned to honor those pennies, by giving them to the Lord, to the work of the kingdom. It's so funny. People think pennies don't amount to anything, but all you need is 100 of them, and then you get, $1. So you should value them. They're still money. And not only that, but Luke tells us, the Lord said, if you're faithful with little things, you'll be faithful with much. If you can't honor him with pennies, he's not going to bless you with millions, because you're not going to honor him with that either. And that's the thing. Like a lot of times, and people always want to say, I talk about this in Revelation is for Elevation. People always say, well, there are people in the world who have millions of dollars. Well, what does it profit you if you gain the whole world but you lose your soul? The thing about finances with the Lord, it's always about your heart. It's never about anything else. What are you doing with the provision that you're asking him for? Get Revelation is for Elevation. It will really bless you. But think about that. If you disrespect pennies, and the money even says, in God we trust, that's another reason. Even before I was at that place where I was sewing pennies, I used to pick up pennies and stuff off of the ground because the money says on it, in God we trust. That was one of those things I was thankful for. And even being a teacher, when we would say the pledge every day, I was thankful that we still got to say, one nation under God. Every time we'd finish the pledge, I'd always be like, thank you, Lord, that we still get to say that. My kids would be looking at me and stuff like that. But that's just how it is. If you can honor the Lord with something small, but you better believe he can trust you with something big. Think about that. Think about all of the small things that you've honored and how they've paid off for you. The Lord does everything with increase. He's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all you think, hope, or imagine. So if you can learn to bless him with your pennies, you better believe that he is more than able to bless you with billions. Okay? And I'm a witness of that. All right. Take care. God bless you. Love you.